If you're suffering, you're selfish. Oh, wow. Heard that one the other day and I resonated with it. Okay, I feel a little suffering here and there in my life, a little bit of gloom, a little bit of grief, a little bit of frustration, a little bit of, at times, anxiety. And I wouldn't consider myself one of those, what do they call, high achievers from the standpoint of I'm always hitting and doing new stuff, but I've got things to do and I want success and I want success for those that I work with directly and all of that. And so like function's important. And so I think about suffering. Okay, maybe that's discontent. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's push. And maybe I'm not seeing things moving forward. And I think to myself, okay, so if I'm suffering, that means I'm selfish. Well, what's the antidote? Well, I heard a short from Tony Robbins recently, and he said, well, the antidote is this, that appreciation. You cannot appreciate things, be grateful for, and verbalize that consistently and suffer at the same time. You absolutely cannot do it. It's physiologically not possible. So I'm in this conundrum where I pendulum back and forth. No, I need to figure out how that antidote works in my life. So the fastest is, he says, so the fastest way out of suffering is appreciation. When you trade your expectations for appreciation, you basically constrict and then eventually ban suffering from your heart, soul, mind, and body. And then get out of yourself and see the grace that's in your life. And I went, man, how do I do that? I do see grace in my life. I see things to be grateful for. And yet grace is looking for something else. Grace is looking for things that I didn't deserve. And there's a lot of those. Now, grateful can be grateful for things I didn't do, things I didn't earn. And grace can be some of the same things. But grace is about not having earned yet something that you possess. So I thought these were really good principles, and that's from Tony Robbins. Over the years, have not been a big fan of his, but he's been putting out some pretty good stuff lately, and I've appreciated it a lot. And so I resonate with that one. Now, here is my next thing. It kind of dovetails, it folds in to this whole thing. Well, how do I do that? How do I do that in action? And then I came across something else that was not Tony Robbins, and it was a reminder. Here, remember to do this. Remember these 6 things. And you don't have to remember them all perfectly. You just have to remember that if you're acting as a good person, then you're actually encouraging other people and encouraging them in the moment. Okay, so this person said, attractive people compliment. And again, attractive is not in the world's eyes. Attractive is in their own eyes. Okay. My own eyes. Am I a relatively attractive person? Well, then I see it as a tool. I see it as an instrument that can play in the orchestra of life for someone else, and then I compliment them. Happy people encourage. And that doesn't mean you do it tongue in cheek. It doesn't mean you do it sarcastically. That doesn't mean you do it kind of around the corner, so to speak. If you're truly happy, the idea is to encourage. The idea is to hope the best for others and verbalize it to them. So if you own the happy, then you want to give it away. Successful people support. And I look around at myself, and I've never seen myself as particularly successful because my goals continue to move. And I continue to kind of want to do more and be more successful and do the next thing. And I need to remember that success is either I own it or I don't. And it has nothing to do with earmarks, has nothing to do with money in the bank, has nothing to do with business acumen or other things like that. Am I successful? Yeah, I actually am. But if I am, then the outcome, the tool that I bring to the world, the function I bring to the world can be me supporting others. And indeed I can. Somebody bought a truck from us recently. And when I sold the truck, I was talking to the gal, the business owner guy was out driving the truck. And she was talking about their business. They have 5 employees. And she was asking, it's a lot. I think we need to take the next step. And we were talking about that. And I was able to encourage her that here's what you watch for. Because I've been down that road. We don't have 5 people anymore. I kind of wish in some ways we did. It was more simple. Secure people. The next one is secure. If you have security in yourself, in God, not in circumstances for sure, but apart from circumstances, if there's a security in you, then secure people celebrate. They celebrate what others are doing and celebrate what others got going on. I had a friend of mine call, and I've been looking at the value of the business that I've been in and not real enamored by the numbers, not real distracted by the numbers, but nonetheless, it's a fact that's going on. And I'm like, well, I kind of wish it was more, but I understand it. And I had a friend call me recently, a friend from high school. I've only seen him 3 or 4 times since high school, but he called me and he said, I think you might be one of the only people I know that is not in my current sphere of influence that would understand this, but I'm getting ready to sell my business. And he gave me some numbers of what it might be. And I'm like, oh man, good for you. And it was multiple times bigger than the nest egg one day that I'll get out of mine. But I was really proud of him. It was really important that he called, what a compliment, and that I could encourage him and say, good job. Good job for getting there. Good job for doing it the way God wanted you to do it. And then now the windfall can be God's money. And be careful of your kids. Don't spoil them, things like this. We had that conversation. But I really wanted to celebrate him. And I think that's because the Lord has built inside me a security. Not that I don't have anxiety, but that I am secure in him and the way he does things and the way he is. His kingdom is secure. And if I live right, I don't have to worry, which is the part I really like. The 5th thing that was in this group of things, confident people inspire. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to inspire him. I want to inspire that young business person, the gal, and I want to inspire others in this. So this is how this has resonated with me is that, I can be reminded of these things. And I'm bigger on some than others as far as what I think I own already. But I think I can do a good job for others in almost every one of these places. And I can be remembered. I can be reminded and then do a good job of inspiring people. And then the one that the person on this video I was watching finished with a number 6, that of course is the downside. And those who have nothing to offer you just try to bring you down. They try to get you, drag you down to their level, whatever that is. And I am constantly surprised at how often that happens, that someone wants to say something. And I'm not even big into haters. Like I don't have that many haters, and especially online and that kind of thing. Most people just ignore me or they listen and agree. And I'm good with either, to be honest. I'm good with also somebody disliking what I have to say. I'm fine with that. But there's so much logic and life experience behind what I say. Most people probably don't bother to disagree because what good would it do? But I just have a couple people in my life that do it in different ways, but they just try to bring others down. Maybe because they don't see themselves as attractive. They're not actually happy. They're not to whatever they define as success. Maybe they're not secure. Maybe they're not confident. I don't know. But after all these years and me relying on the Lord, him being perfectly faithful, I have these things firmly in my life. And again, some of them are easier and more natural for me than others, but I have them firmly in my life so that I can be complimentary, I can be encouraging, I can be supportive, I can celebrate others, and I can inspire. But what I don't want to do is bring others down and come off as the fool that has nothing to offer. Lord, help me. Lord, help us all. So if you want to prove that you're suffering, be selfish. If you are suffering, you are selfish. And that, to me, is the biggest fact of the day. That's why I started out with it. If you're suffering, you're selfish. Because you can provide these things for others. You can do that through the mechanism of appreciation and gratitude and looking for the grace in your life, which is things that you did not earn. And perhaps you deserve the opposite. Biblical principle, life principle, and a principle to live by, for sure. And you live by that one, and you're going to find God. You're going to find a way to reconcile with the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, and I'm sure of it. That being said, let us move on to the end of the podcast, where I always read my good buddy Zig Ziglar's statement. You were designed for accomplishment. Yes, because this podcast is named Greatness from Small Beginnings. And what I'm talking about here is smallness. And we need to be bigger. We need to be better. And we need to do more. And it's not the pressure of being bigger, better, and doing more. It's how do we become more? Not get stuck in our thinking, because our thinking is often wrong. You were designed for accomplishment, which I believe is true. Engineered for success and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Grow those seeds, man. Grow those seeds. I know you can do it. I'm working on it. And this stuff resonated with me, and I needed to give it to you. Now go be great.